The Memory Paradox: Why Our Brains Need Knowledge in an Age of AI. Introduction. In an era dominated by digital technology and artificial intelligence (AI), the way we acquire knowledge and think critically is undergoing significant transformation. The research paper titled The Memory Paradox: Why Our Brains Need Knowledge in an Age of AI explores the critical relationship between memory learning and the use of technology, particularly how reliance on AI tools can hinder cognitive development and depth of thinking. Key findings. 1. Memory and learning dynamics. The paper argues that as individuals increasingly depend on smartphones and AI for information retrieval, they risk developing shallow thinking. Neuroscience highlights the importance of internalized knowledge for effective learning and expertise. While large language models (LLMs) like ChatGPT excel at retrieving information, they do not engage the cognitive processes necessary for quick recall and intuition. 2. Engram research insights. Engram research, which studies how memories are formed and recalled, demonstrates that memories strengthen through active recall. Tools like calculators and AI may bypass this critical mental engagement, resulting in underdeveloped skills such as number sense. The authors emphasize that declarative facts must first be stored in the hippocampus before transitioning to the basal ganglia, where they become habitual. Outsourcing this memory process to technology can freeze learning at an immature stage. 3. Educational trends and impacts. Over the past few decades, educational systems have shifted from traditional memorization techniques towards a reliance on search technologies. This change has coincided with stagnated IQ gains, reduced reading and counting skills, and an increased tendency for students to trust screens blindly. The authors note that this shift is detrimental as it diminishes cognitive engagement and critical thinking. 4. Recommendations for learning. To counteract the negative effects of technology reliance, the authors propose 3 essential habits. Overlearn core facts, master basic knowledge so it becomes second nature. Space retrieval, reinforce memory schemas through spaced repetition. Use technology as a supplement, allow technological tools to enhance learning speed only after mastery has been achieved. 5. Neuroscientific evidence. A study from MIT's Media Lab supports these claims, revealing that individuals using AI tools like ChatGPT exhibited lower brain engagement and creativity compared to those using traditional methods or even basic search engines like Google. EEG data showed reduced neural connectivity among AI users, indicating a lack of deep cognitive processing and engagement. Comparative analysis of sources. Rohan Paul summarizes the paper's core arguments, emphasizing the necessity of internal knowledge for guiding AI and spotting errors. He warns against the dangers of outsourcing memory processes to technology. Dominic Lukes critiques the sensationalism surrounding the topic, questioning the validity of claims about memory atrophy due to technology reliance. He calls for a more nuanced discussion of how technology affects cognition. Time magazine details the MIT study, highlighting that students who relied on AI tools produced essays lacking original thought and engagement. The findings suggest that while AI can provide convenience, it may not contribute to effective learning, particularly for younger users whose cognitive development is crucial. Timeline of events. Decades of educational change. Over the last several decades, a significant shift in educational practices has moved away from memorization toward technology-assisted learning. Recent research including the MIT study has highlighted the cognitive impacts of using AI tools on learning outcomes, revealing troubling trends in brain engagement and critical thinking. Publication of the paper. The paper by Rohan Paul synthesizes these findings, advocating for a balanced approach to technology use in education to ensure cognitive development and critical thinking skills are maintained. Conclusion. While technology, particularly AI, can serve as a useful tool in learning, the research underscores the importance of foundational knowledge and memory processes for fostering creativity and critical thinking. The authors argue for a balanced approach where technology acts as a support system rather than a replacement for cognitive effort. By overlearning core facts, spacing retrieval, and judiciously introducing technology, individuals can maintain cognitive fitness and harness the benefits of technology without succumbing to the pitfalls of shallow thinking. Implications for future education. The findings of the memory paradox call for educators, policymakers, and parents to reconsider how technology is integrated into learning environments. As AI becomes increasingly prevalent, it is crucial to ensure that it complements rather than replaces essential cognitive skills. By fostering a culture of active engagement with knowledge, we can prepare future generations to thrive in an age where technology is ubiquitous yet requires thoughtful interaction. In summary, the interplay between memory learning and technology is complex and demands a nuanced understanding. Embracing the insights from neuroscience can lead to more effective educational strategies that promote deep learning and critical thinking in an age dominated by information technology. The research paper titled The Memory Paradox: Why Our Brains Need Knowledge in an Age of AI highlights a critical concern regarding the impact of technology, particularly AI and search engines, on human cognition and learning. The paper presents counterintuitive findings that challenge the prevailing belief that technological tools enhance learning and cognitive abilities. Instead, it posits that an over-reliance on these tools may hinder deeper cognitive processes essential for meaningful learning. Here are some of the key counterintuitive insights from the paper and supporting sources. 1. Memory as a cognitive tool. A central argument of the paper is that stored knowledge is essential for effective learning and cognitive functioning. It suggests that such tools prevent individuals from engaging with the material in a way that solidifies their understanding. The implication is that reliance on technology can stall the development of essential cognitive skills such as number sense and intuition. 3. Impact on learning habits. Historically, educational systems have moved away from memorization and rote learning towards a model that emphasizes searching for information. This transition has resulted in stagnated IQ gains and a decline in engagement with reading and critical thinking. The counterintuitive conclusion is that despite the intent to create a more efficient learning environment, the opposite effect is achieved. Students are less equipped with core knowledge and critical thinking skills. For a diminished neural engagement, a study from MIT's Media Lab highlighted in the paper found that individuals using AI tools like ChatGPT exhibited lower brain engagement compared to their peers who relied on traditional methods. Participants using ChatGPT not only performed worse in neural connectivity but also showed a tendency to write essays that lacked originality. The counterintuitive takeaway is that while AI tools are designed to enhance productivity, they may actually lead to a decline in cognitive engagement and creative output. 5. A failure to learn from mistakes. The paper discusses how offloading memory tasks to technology leads to a lack of internal feedback mechanisms. When learners rely on AI outputs without having an internalized understanding of the material, they miss out on the jolt of realizing their errors and adjusting their knowledge accordingly. This suggests that technology, rather than being a shortcut to learning, can actually inhibit the development of critical error correction processes that foster deeper understanding. 6. The need for mastery before technology. The authors propose 3 habits to counteract the negative effects of technology: overlearning core facts, spacing retrieval practice, and using technological tools only after achieving mastery. This recommendation challenges the idea that technology should be integrated into learning from the outset. Instead, it argues for a more structured approach where foundational knowledge is solidified before technology is utilized as a tool for enhancement. 7. Cognitive and psychological consequences. The paper and the accompanying analyses from different sources underline the potential psychological and cognitive consequences of over-reliance on AI, particularly for younger individuals. The counterintuitive idea here is that while AI may provide immediate convenience, it poses long-term risks to cognitive development and mental resilience, especially in developing brains that require active engagement with learning materials. 8. AI as a crutch, not a scaffold. The authors advocate for viewing technology as a scaffold that supports learning rather than a crutch that hinders cognitive effort. This perspective flips the common narrative that technology is inherently beneficial for learning. Instead, it emphasizes the importance of maintaining active cognitive processes to ensure that technology enhances rather than detracts from our intellectual capabilities. In summary, the insights from the memory paradox and supporting studies present a compelling argument against the uncritical acceptance of technology as a learning aid. They reveal counterintuitive truths about memory cognitive engagement and the potential pitfalls of outsourcing our cognitive processes to AI tools. The authors call for a balanced approach to technology use in education that prioritizes foundational knowledge and cognitive engagement, ensuring that technology serves as a tool for enhancement rather than a substitute for deep learning. The report, titled The Memory Paradox: Why Our Brains Need Knowledge in an Age of AI, addresses critical issues surrounding the reliance on technology, particularly artificial intelligence (AI) and search engines for knowledge acquisition and cognitive development. While many readers may focus on the broader implications of technology in education and its potential to facilitate learning, several important aspects are often overlooked, which are significant for understanding the long-term consequences of outsourcing memory and thinking to AI. 1. The neuroscience of memory recall. One of the key findings of the paper is the significance of memory recall in strengthening our cognitive abilities. The research indicates that memories become more robust when they are actively recalled. This process is crucial for developing deep understanding and expertise. Many may overlook the fact that when individuals use calculators or AI tools for information retrieval, they bypass this essential cognitive engagement which is necessary for true mastery of knowledge. This is significant because it suggests that the habitual use of such tools can lead to a lack of mental practice, which in turn can inhibit the development of critical thinking skills. The brain requires challenges and active engagement to form the neural circuits necessary for quick recall and intuition. Without this active engagement, cognitive abilities can stagnate, leading to a decline in higher-order thinking skills. 2. The role of engrams in learning. Engram research highlights that memory should transition from being held in the hippocampus to the basal ganglia, where they become habitual. This transition is a crucial part of the learning process. However, reliance on AI tools can freeze knowledge in the early stages of learning. Readers may not fully appreciate how this outsourcing of memory can prevent the natural progression of learning and lead to a superficial understanding of complex subjects. The implications are profound, especially in educational contexts where foundational knowledge is essential for more advanced learning. If students do not engage with the material deeply enough to move it into long-term memory, they may struggle with more complex concepts later on, leading to a cycle of dependence on technology for answers rather than developing their own understanding. 3. The impact of educational trends. The report discusses the shift in educational practices over the past few decades, moving away from memorization to a reliance on search capabilities. This trend may seem innocuous or even beneficial at first glance, but the authors argue that it has led to stagnated IQ gains and a decline in critical thinking skills among students. Many readers might overlook the long-term consequences of this shift. This trend is significant because it indicates a systemic issue in education and over-reliance on technology that could ultimately hinder cognitive development. The authors suggest that without a strong foundation of internalized knowledge, students are less equipped to engage critically with information, leading to a generation that may struggle to think independently or creatively. 4. Prediction error chemistry and learning opportunities. Another critical aspect of the paper is the discussion around prediction error chemistry and its relation to learning. The authors point out that effective learning relies on having an internal guess against which to measure outcomes. When learners offload their cognitive tasks to technology, they miss the jolt of error recognition, which is essential for growth and learning. This phenomenon is significant because it highlights how the learning process is not just about obtaining correct answers but also about engaging with mistakes and understanding why something went wrong. Readers might not recognize the importance of this concept in fostering resilience and adaptability in learners. without the ability to learn from errors. Students may become less capable of tackling challenges or thinking critically in unfamiliar situations. This could lead to a future workforce that is less innovative and adaptable, as individuals may not have developed the necessary skills to problem solve effectively. 5. The diminishing role of critical thinking in AI-driven learning. The paper references a study from MIT's Media Lab indicating that students using AI tools like ChatGPT exhibited lower levels of brain engagement and cognitive performance compared to those who engaged in more traditional learning methods. This finding may be overlooked by those who see AI as a straightforward solution to educational challenges. The significance of this finding lies in its implications for the future of education and workforce readiness. If students become accustomed to relying on AI for their learning tasks, they may not develop the critical thinking and creativity necessary for success in complex, real-world situations. This could perpetuate a cycle where reliance on technology leads to diminished cognitive skills, ultimately impacting society as a whole. 6. Proposed habits for balanced technology use. The authors advocate for 3 simple habits to mitigate the negative effects of technology reliance: overlearning core facts, spacing retrieval practice, and allowing tools to enhance speed only after achieving mastery. Many might view these habits as merely practical tips, but they represent a fundamental shift in how we should approach learning in an age dominated by AI. The significance of these habits lies in their potential to create a more balanced relationship with technology. By emphasizing mastery before technology use, educators and learners can ensure that technology serves as a supportive tool rather than a crutch. This approach fosters a more engaged and capable learner equipped to navigate the complexities of the modern world. Conclusion. In summary, the report, The Memory Paradox: Why Our Brains Need Knowledge in an Age of AI, offers critical insights into the implications of technology reliance on cognitive development, memory, and learning. By identifying key aspects that may be overlooked, such as the neuroscience of memory, recall, the role of engrams, the impact of educational trends, and the importance of critical thinking, the paper highlights the need for a balanced approach to technology in education. This balance is essential for fostering creativity, adaptability, and the capacity for deep critical engagement with knowledge in an increasingly AI-driven world. The paper, The Memory Paradox: Why Our Brains Need Knowledge in an Age of AI, delves into the critical relationship between technology, memory, and cognitive development. Here are 4 valuable points for in-depth analysis and discussion. 1. The detrimental effects of outsourcing memory. The paper highlights a significant concern regarding the reliance on technology for information retrieval, which has led to what the authors termed shallow thinking. As individuals increasingly depend on devices like smartphones and AI tools for immediate access to information, their cognitive faculties related to memory recall and critical thinking are compromised. Neuroscience research indicates that engaging with stored knowledge is essential for developing expertise, spotting errors, and guiding interactions with AI systems. The inability to form the necessary cognitive circuits for quick recall and intuition could stifle creativity and deeper understanding. This trend is particularly alarming in educational settings, where the emphasis has shifted from memorization to a just search mentality. 2. The role of Engram research in memory formation. Engram research plays a crucial role in understanding how memories strengthen and become habitual. The paper notes that memories must be actively recalled to solidify in the brain, transitioning from the hippocampus to the basal ganglia. This process is vital for developing skills such as number sense, which can be undermined by reliance on calculators and similar technologies that bypass active engagement. The failure to engage with information actively prevents learners from internalizing knowledge, leading to a reduced ability to retrieve and utilize that information effectively in various contexts. This underlines the importance of active learning strategies in educational curricula. 3. Impact of educational trends on cognitive development. The paper discusses the implications of educational practices that prioritize technology over memorization and critical thinking. Over the years, Schools have increasingly emphasized the use of technology for learning, which has resulted in stagnated IQ gains and diminished engagement in reading, mathematics, and overall critical thinking skills among students. This shift has fostered a generation that trusts technology blindly, potentially impairing their ability to think independently and critically. The authors argue for a re-evaluation of educational approaches, advocating for a balanced integration of technology that does not compromise foundational knowledge and cognitive skills. 4. Proposed strategies for balancing technology use. To mitigate the negative consequences of technology reliance, the authors propose 3 strategic habits that learners should adopt. Overlearning core facts. This involves practicing essential knowledge until it becomes second nature, ensuring that learners can access and utilize this information swiftly and effectively. Spacing retrieval. This technique reinforces memory schemas by encouraging learners to recall information at spaced intervals, which helps solidify knowledge and improve long-term retention. Technology as a tool after mastery. The authors stress that technological aid should be introduced only after learners have achieved a level of mastery over core concepts. This approach positions technology as a supportive scaffold rather than a crutch, promoting cognitive engagement and maintaining mental agility. Conclusion. The paper presents a compelling case for the necessity of internal knowledge in the context of an increasingly technology-driven world. While technological tools can enhance learning when used appropriately, they should not replace the foundational cognitive processes that are essential for creative and critical thinking. The proposed strategies offer a pathway to ensure that technology serves as an aid in education without undermining the cognitive development of learners. The implications of these findings extend beyond educational settings, influencing how society approaches knowledge acquisition and the long-term effects of technological reliance on cognitive health and creativity. 1. The case of Socrates and the written word. Socrates, the classical Greek philosopher, famously criticized the written word as a means of knowledge transmission. In Plato's dialogues, he argued that writing would lead to forgetfulness, as individuals would rely on texts instead of their memory. He believed that true knowledge comes from internalized understanding and dialogue rather than from written sources that could be easily referenced. This historical case serves as an early example of the tension between external memory aids and internal cognitive processes, paralleling the modern concerns regarding reliance on technology for knowledge and critical thinking. 2. The debate on calculators in education. In the late 20th century, there was significant debate regarding the use of calculators in mathematics education. Critics argued that reliance on calculators led to a decline in students' arithmetic skills and number sense, as they bypassed the mental calculations that strengthen numerical understanding. Proponents, however, claimed that calculators could enhance learning by allowing students to focus on higher-level mathematical concepts without being bogged down by basic calculations. This controversy reflects the ongoing discussion about the balance between utilizing tools for efficiency and ensuring foundational knowledge is retained and understood. 3. The impact of television on attention and learning. In the 1980s and 1990s, researchers began to study the effects of television on children's attention spans and learning capabilities. Critics argued that the fast-paced nature of television programming contributed to shorter attention spans and diminished cognitive engagement. Studies indicated that children who spent excessive time watching television exhibited difficulties in critical thinking and problem-solving skills. This historical case mirrors contemporary concerns regarding digital media, including smartphones and AI, suggesting that passive consumption of information may hinder cognitive development and deep learning processes. The future of learning and cognitive development in the age of artificial intelligence (AI) is poised for significant transformation. As we navigate this landscape, several predictions emerge based on current trends, neuroscience research, and the implications of our increasing reliance on technology. 1. Redefinition of educational approaches. The educational paradigm is likely to shift back towards emphasizing foundational knowledge and critical thinking skills. As highlighted in the paper, the memory paradox: over-reliance on technology for information retrieval can hinder deep learning and cognitive development. Future educational systems may incorporate a blended approach where traditional memorization techniques are integrated with technology. This will foster a balance between retaining core knowledge and leveraging AI tools for enhancement after mastery. 2. Increased focus on cognitive engagement. As studies like those from MIT's Media Lab indicate, cognitive engagement is crucial for effective learning. Future curricula may prioritize activities that stimulate active participation and critical thinking. This could involve more project-based learning discussions and hands-on experiences. Moving away from passive consumption of information through AI tools. Schools may adopt policies to limit the use of AI for tasks that require deep cognitive effort, thereby encouraging students to build their own knowledge bases. 3. Personalized learning experiences. With advancements in AI, personalized learning experiences will become more prevalent. Tailored educational programs that adapt to individual learning styles and paces could enhance retention and understanding. AI can assist in identifying areas where students struggle, providing customized resources and suggesting optimal learning paths. However, this must be balanced with the need to develop foundational skills without excessive dependency on technology. 4. Shift in assessment methods. As educational practices evolve, assessment methods will likely change to evaluate not just rote memorization but also critical thinking, creativity, and problem-solving abilities. Future assessments may focus on students' ability to synthesize information and apply knowledge in real-world scenarios rather than simply recalling facts. This will encourage deeper learning and promote the skills necessary for navigating an increasingly complex world. 5. Emergence of a new pedagogical framework. There could be a rise in new pedagogical frameworks that prioritize mental processes over mere information gathering. Approaches that emphasize learning how to learn may gain traction, teaching students strategies for memory retention, critical analysis, and effective use of technology as a supportive tool rather than a crutch. This could involve training students in metacognitive strategies to enhance their self-awareness about learning processes. 6. Legislation and ethical guidelines. As the implications of AI on learning become clearer, there may be a push for legislation and ethical guidelines governing the use of AI in educational settings. Policymakers might establish standards to ensure that technology usage enhances rather than diminishes cognitive development. This could include guidelines on the appropriate age for introducing AI tools in classrooms and policies to limit their use in formative assessments. 7. Integration of neuroscience into education. The understanding of cognitive processes will likely inform educational practices. Neuroscience research on memory, learning, and engagement will shape teaching methodologies, with educators increasingly relying on scientific insights to enhance student outcomes. Training teachers to understand the cognitive implications of technology use will be crucial in fostering environments that prioritize both knowledge retention and critical thinking. 8. Emphasis on social and emotional learning. As technology alters interactions, future educational models may place greater emphasis on social and emotional learning, SAL, developing interpersonal skills, empathy, and emotional intelligence will be essential as students navigate a world where AI increasingly mediates communication and collaboration. Schools may integrate SEL into the curriculum to ensure students are well-rounded individuals capable of critical thinking and effective collaboration. 9. Role of parents and communities. The future may also see a more active role for parents and communities in education. As concerns about AI's impact on cognitive development grow, parents may demand more transparency and accountability regarding technology use in schools. Community initiatives focused on educational workshops, discussions, and resources can empower families to support their children's learning and foster a culture of inquiry and critical thinking. 10. Lifelong learning paradigm. Finally, the concept of lifelong learning will become increasingly important. as the job market continues to evolve due to technological advancements. Individuals will need to adapt and acquire new skills throughout their lives. Future education systems will likely promote a culture of continuous learning, emphasizing adaptability, creativity, and the ability to critically assess and utilize information from various sources, including AI tools. Conclusion: the future of learning in an AI-driven world presents both challenges and opportunities. By embracing a balanced approach that prioritizes foundational knowledge while effectively integrating technology, we can cultivate a generation equipped for the complexities of modern life. The insights from neuroscience will guide this evolution, ensuring that cognitive development remains at the forefront of educational practices. In this context, technology will serve as a scaffold for learning rather than a substitute for critical thinking and creativity.